Hello and welcome to our live stream. We're so glad you could join us this morning. We're streaming live from EnviroSteward's head office in Elmira, Ontario. My name is Lloyd and I'll be the MC for this morning's event. To begin, I'll take a few moments to go over the agenda for today's event. We'll start with a land acknowledgement followed by some introductions. Then we'll move on to something very exciting, which is the premiere of our affordable smart roof video. The video is about 15 minutes long, and as you watch it, please feel free to type any questions you have into the live stream chat window. Jason, our moderator, will send them to us to answer during the Q&A session. Our live audience is, of course, welcome to ask questions as well. Following the Q&A, we'll walk over to our living wall to cut the ribbon on our blue roof. We'll then say a final few words and bid farewell to our live stream audience. So as we begin our event, I would like to acknowledge that EnviroSteward's office is located within the Haldimand Tract, which is 10 kilometers of land on each side of the Grand River that is the territory of the Six Nations Confederacy. It is our understanding that Six Nations is seeking monies owing and ongoing payments for the Block 3 leased land on which we are located. In our opinion, we are obliged to pay an equitable lease to Six Nations for the land under our office, and we would be happy to do so. As mentioned, my name is Lloyd. I'm an engineer at EnviroStewards, and after this live stream event, I'll be able to add YouTube celebrity to my CV. For those of you who don't know who EnviroStewards is, we're an environmental engineering firm and certified B Corporation, and our mission is to build resilient businesses and improve lives in extraordinary ways. A bit later on in our upcoming video, you'll be meeting Bruce Taylor, who's the president of EnviroStewards, and he'll be answering some of your questions about the blue roof. I'd also like to welcome those who are able to join us live in person. We're very pleased to have MPP Mike Schreiner attend with us, who is the leader of the Green Party in Ontario, as well as Tim Lewis, who's MP for Kitchener-Conestoga. Welcome to you both. During the Q&A session, everyone is free to direct their questions to Bruce or Mike or Tim. So remember to put those questions in the chat window throughout any time of these proceedings. Okay, and now, the moment we've been waiting for, it's time for the premiere of our affordable smart blue roof video. And again, as a reminder, don't hesitate to put those questions in the chat window as you watch. All right, let's watch.
Opportunity to see the interesting projects EnviroStewards do, I'm always blown away. Their innovative solutions, combined with a sense of giving back to others locally and across the globe, speaks to their big heart. The idea of a blue roof was new to me, and I was excited when Bruce explained it. What a great concept, to keep water on the roof while potentially moderating the interior building temperature, or even providing water for a green roof. Like so many of their projects, this one does more than benefit the company. With climate change, we're seeing more and more extreme weather and more flooding. The blue roof will retain water, reducing the strain on our stormwater infrastructure, perhaps delaying the need to upsize and potentially preventing flooding. To Bruce and your team, congratulations on another great concept and project. I'm thrilled that you call Elmira home.
Over the past 10 years, insurance claims for water damage to personal property have more than doubled, making flood protection the #1 priority for property owners and insurance companies alike. Roughly half of water damage claims in Canada are related to floods that happen when intense rainstorms dump high volumes of water within a very short period of time. Hard surfaces such as paved roads and standard rooftops are significant contributors to this kind of flooding because they shed large volumes of water immediately, overwhelming local drainage systems and leading to pooling of high volumes of water in low-lying areas. This water can make its way into buildings by seeping through walls, pouring through cracks and openings, and mixing with sewer water that backs up into buildings through drains and toilets. Smart Blue Roof systems, such as the one installed on EnviroSteward's headquarters, help to reduce the risk of flooding by capturing all of the water that falls on the rooftop, letting a portion of it slowly evaporate into the air and releasing the remainder into the building to irrigate the living wall system and flushing toilets. This innovative technology not only reduces flood risks, but it also conserves water and energy and reduces urban heat island effect.
So Blue Roof's emerging technology, and what it is with climate change, we're getting larger, more intense storms more often, and it's overwhelming the existing infrastructure for stormwater management. So one way to address that would be to dig up the pipes, put in larger ones, put in big ponds and whatnot, but a less intrusive way would be to store water on the roof. So if you have a modern liner on a roof, you actually have a swimming pool on your roof already. So if we can store some water there, then it's not going to go down the drain the same time as a storm. And if you have stored water there, then you've got a resource that you can then use for flushing toilets, cooling towers, irrigation, washing things. Also, if you have water stored on your roof, it's evaporating from the roof and cooling the roof down. So rather than the heat penetrating in from the outside during the summer, it's actually going to be leaving because it can be slightly cooler on the roof. And then there's two different types. A passive is just you slow the drains down so it still drains, but maybe over 24 hours. Or an active one, you actually control it with a controlled valve, primarily over the internet, where you would open it up when you see a storm coming to make capacity for the coming storm and to let it down as you need it for reuse. So these are our Blue Roof features on the roof. So this is our north drain, which has the controls downstairs, which I'll show you. This is our ultrasonic level sensor, so we know how much water we're storing on the roof. Temperature sensors for the liner temperature, the reference liner, the air temperature, these kinds of things. And then over here we have a weather station. The rainwater from the Blue Roof is controlled with this solenoid valve, which tops up our day tank here. This day tank then goes through our treatment system where we've got a cartridge filter, ultraviolet light, and we pump it to our living wall, which humidifies our office, takes out the carbon dioxide from the air, and it also goes to our toilets. And we have a series of sensors so we can tell how much heat is going through the roof, we can tell how much rainwater we're reusing, we can tell how hard our air conditioner is working. And then this is our weather station on the roof.
Did we actually check the roof for the new loads? The answer is yes. We check the roof for the new loads, and this is part of design process. We design for roofs for intended loads. So whoever is concerned, is the roof can support or is it going to collapse, has to have in mind first that this is obligation of engineers. Shortly, it won't collapse. When we reassign purpose and intent of the roof and we want to put Blue Roof, there are two approaches. We can see how many capacity on a roof we have, comparing all possible loads and their interaction. Now, Blue Roof is basically a rain load that we keep on the roof. So we can gauge how much capacity we have and use that capacity for Blue Roof. The other approach is we want a certain amount of water to store, and we are aware that this is overcapacity on the roof. In that case, we basically reinforce a roof to support the design Blue Roof. Generally speaking, we always, I think, have capacity to store 24 rainfall, simply because it's a smaller load than snow load.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. You know, My concerns about flooding, I think, are going to go away. I love the weather station up there. That way we know when there's an event coming. Like last night, driving back from the north, I hit a rainstorm. It absolutely poured. Just like these rains we had here in the past, where you end up with flooding. You know, and the roof drains in this section, this is a 1972 section that flow into the 1958 to the 1903 storm sewer that goes underneath the building. So I don't know whether those pipes are sized correctly or not, but if you have 15 drains going into this one, I think that's why it backed up. And we had changed from the old cast iron to the PVC, hoping that would stop it, but it's still, there was so much pressure, it came out the MJ onto the warehouse floor. The weight-wise is not a concern because they're taking off 8 pounds per square foot of the tar and pebble in the old insulation, and they only put 1 pound a square foot back with the styrofoam insulation and the membrane. So the other added weight, the 2 inches of water, it covers it. And we got a total of about 66,000 square feet of roof here that, you know, maybe we could continue this project through the other roofs. So, no, I thought it was a great idea. Wonderful.
Credit Valley Conservation has been working closely with EnviroStewards Consulting Services to design and construct a smart blue roof on our own head office building. We completed a joint feasibility study in 2019 looking at the overall benefits of having a blue roof on our own building in terms of water saving potential, energy saving from evaporative cooling. And we tried to identify the overall costs and look at the scale up benefit of a blue roof if you were to apply this type of technology across many buildings in an industrial commercial area. The greatest benefit is in these industrial commercial areas, many of which were built many years ago and are underserviced by the existing stormwater system. So they have stormwater pipes that are undersized for the current amount of rainwater that runs off in those areas. And to be able to use the conventional approach of constructing a pond in these existing areas can be very difficult. One is to find the land in these densely built up areas, but also the cost of land in those areas would be very high. Blue roofs provide a unique opportunity to use existing rooftop area to store rainwater to help with stormwater management, and also to provide the opportunity to reuse that water and provide evaporative cooling. So it's really trialing a new technology on existing buildings to leverage that unused rooftop space for stormwater management.
All of us at Sustainable Waterloo Region want to say a big thank you and congratulations to EnviroStewards for all of your leadership, your innovation, your visionary approach to reaching sustainability. Over the years that we've worked together, you've reduced your per person emissions of greenhouse gases by 78%. That's an incredible accomplishment and one that inspires others and helps us tell the story of a clean, prosperous business. And now you're innovating once again through the installation of a climate adaptation infrastructure project at your building. This new roof project means that you will have a blue roof where you capture additional water runoff, you reduce the amount of water that you need as an organization, you increase your insulation, thereby reducing your greenhouse gas emissions even further, up to 82% reduction per person, and you reduce heat island effect through having a white roof versus a black tar roof. This kind of innovative thinking is the future that we need across the region. And EnviroStewards, you are one of the champions and leaders. So thank you for your work, for your commitment. And it is a privilege to work with you and be able to support you on this journey.
While our federal government's #1 focus is on ensuring we get through the pandemic safely, we know that climate change also presents a threat to our health, as well as our economic and personal well-being. This means cooperating with each other to bring the best ideas forward to fight climate change. EnviroStewards is a perfect business model for how our economy and environment go hand in hand. The work they're doing is an important step toward building a sustainable and more competitive economy. The benefits from this blue roof are numerous, The roof will help cool the building, reducing energy use. Rainwater harvesting will help with stormwater management. So today, I commend Bruce and everyone at Enviro Stewards for setting an example of how innovation right here in our backyard is showing that we can all work together to protect our environment, benefit our community for generations to come. Congratulations.
The Intact Center on Climate Adaptation would like to congratulate Enviro Stewards for providing a practical and cost-effective example of what other organizations across Canada can do to adapt and thrive in a changing climate. Congratulations.
And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that video. We got lots of questions that came in, which is great. And so we're going to move into the Q&A session now. And again, if you still have questions on your mind, put them in the chat window. And we also have a live audience too, in case they have a question to ask. We can ask away now. And also please indicate who your question is for so that the correct person can come up to the microphone to answer. And we're going to begin with an online question, which is for Bruce. So Bruce, would you mind stepping up to the mic? I'm just going to read it off my phone. This question is from Mike Morris. You obviously had a different way of thinking at the outset of this project, Bruce, with a focus on the long-term economic and environmental payback. Can you share more about how innovative projects like this one can help change the paradigm for building and construction across our community, particularly at a time when the Township of Woolwich and other municipalities across the region recently committed to ambitious climate action goals?
Yeah, well, thanks, Mike. Just in today's paper, all the municipalities in our region have now passed that commitment to reduce their greenhouse gases, which is outstanding. And I guess what I would encourage is, if you want a different outcome like this, you can't do the same thing, right? And so in our procurement processes, if you procure the same way you always have, based on the lowest initial cost, then you cannot achieve your objective. However, if you look at the lowest life cycle cost, that's where you can invest in innovative thinking, innovative approaches that actually reduce the capital, reduce the operating costs so that you can get to the outcomes that you want.
Perfect. Thank you, Bruce. This next question is for both Mike and Tim, so if you can come up one at a time. The question is, what are your thoughts on the potential role, if any, of green technologies such as this with respect to provincial and federal environmental planning?
Yeah, well, first of all, these types of innovative technologies save government money, especially in infrastructure costs, which I think the video highly demonstrated. And so I think one of the ways in which both the provincial, and if I can speak for the federal government, and I would argue municipal governments can support innovative technology like this is through the procurement process. And so if on government-owned buildings we bring this type of technology in, it provides companies like Enviro Stewards the opportunity to prove proof of concept, save government money, and it demonstrates to the broader corporate business sectors out there how important this type of innovation is for their own buildings in terms of helping to save money and reduce impact on the environment.
Tim, would you mind also providing a response to that question? Do you need me to repeat the question, or do you remember it?
It made sense to me, and it does.
Okay.
This level of cooperation, it just proves that everyone needs to work together, and we're doing that here in Woolwich, we're doing that in Waterloo region, in Guelph, we're doing that across Canada, and I'm proud to say that cooperation is what's needed. There's no job that's too small, there's no job that's too big. We need to work together, and this proves that we can do that. So It's not about the environment or the economy. Enviro Stewards has proven that you can do both. You can do the right thing to protect our environment, and you can do the right thing to grow the economy at the same time.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I had some online feedback that this mic picks up better audio, so I'll step aside after I ask the question, and the responder could come to this mic, please. So this one is to Bruce from Leah. Bruce, Enviro Stewards has set this up on the roof of their offices. Can this scale to other types of buildings, such as factories, retail, or homes?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Leah. Yes, certainly. And so we want to demonstrate it on our own roof. So, we'll be the first people to know if it's not working, right? And but we've also got people online from our customer Moorguard. So we've done half a dozen malls with them right now on water energy, and they've implemented all these recommendations. So now they're looking for what next. So it's kind of interesting in that environment because that's a tough retail space right now with COVID. But what if there's a way to pay for your roof with avoided stormwater infrastructure costs, right? And so our roof is nice anyway. Let me just show you. Here's the existing one that was taken off, and it's dirty, it's heavy, it was waterlogged, right? This is the new one, and it's much lighter, it's cleaner. When we put our thermometer on this thing, it was 20 degrees Celsius cooler than this one. So that's 20 degrees Celsius less driving force driving heat into our building. So just replacing the roof itself will cut the heat gain by 75% through our roof. If we have water evaporating from it, it's even more. So what I want to encourage people is look at the multiple wins. Don't just do one thing. So some people originally were looking at blue roofs to only look at the stormwater. But you've got this resource on your roof. Why don't you flush the toilets with it? Why don't you evaporate water to cool the heat island effect and to cool reduce your air conditioning? So how many multiple wins can you get from the same infrastructure is the thing. To make the systems work together would be my thing. And so, yes, each factory, you need to look at it. You've got water on your roof, so where are you going to have it? In the case of Credit Valley Conservation, this part of the roof we're not going to do. We're just going to do a conventional passive blue roof where we'll just drain where there's too much mechanical equipment. But other areas, we're going to store the water on there and reuse it. So each one will be a bit unique, but yes, it's applicable to anybody who's got a flat roof, particularly if you're going to put in like a modern roof liner.
Great, thank you, Bruce. This next question, actually, Randy, this might be an interesting one for you to answer. The question is, how much more expensive is a blue roof than a regular roof, and is it cost effective? So maybe you can answer, and Bruce, if you want to supplement, feel free to come up afterwards, but you've been involved with the construction, so curious to hear your viewpoint.
The additional cost was about $4,000 based on the other roofs that we had completed. But it's worth it. Just in here right now, you can feel the difference. With your air conditioning, it's not running as much. This week we're going to get some rain, and we'll see how well it holds it. Okay?
Great. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Yeah. So, as Randy mentioned, our roof was scheduled for a replacement anyway, so it's 1970s, right? And it's served us well up till now, but it's, a modern roof would do much better for us. So it was going to be replaced anyway, and the incremental cost above the regular roofing cost was $4,000. We also experienced about $4,000 of internal costs, which I'll show you at the ribbon cutting for kind of the reuse system, so that now we're actually pumping the water to our toilets also through a dedicated PEX purple pipe kind of thing. And so between those and then the rest was our internal costs for engineering and these kinds of things.
Great, thank you, gentlemen. And we'll take a few more questions. They're still coming in. This one is for Mike and Tim, and it sort of follows on the previous question. Mike and Tim, how can provincial and federal governments encourage these types of projects or initiatives?
By walking the walk. That's it. By walking the walk and showing people that it's possible, by incentivizing innovation, whether it's the high-tech solutions, whether it's nature-based solutions. And you can see today that these things can work in tandem. It's not one or the other. You can do both. And so the more people are aware of the changes that they can make in their own lives and how they can live differently, the more we can help them. And it's a cooperative effort. And it needs to be all levels of government.
Yeah, I'm just going to agree what Tim said and add one thing, or two things actually, is One is when we think about the incentives, one of the ways to think about it is if you look at the cost of building stormwater infrastructure, it might be cheaper to actually provide businesses with an incentive to reduce the amount of runoff and putting extra pressure on infrastructure, which saves government money. So it's a way to create incentives, but also help government save money. And again, I just want to reiterate the important role that government procurement can play. I hear so many innovators across Ontario say, you know what? Buy our products, help us prove that they work, and then we can sell them to the world, creating jobs right here in Ontario.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen, for those answers. So maybe we'll do about 2 more questions. And this one is from the online chat as well. Maybe it's for Bruce. How does the roof handle snow and ice, and does the roof continue to function in the winter months? It's an interesting question.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. And so we actually will remove the blue roof features during the winter time. So we don't want to store ice on our roof. And what we're doing is we're taking advantage of the snow load. So we're not using the snow load during the summer and the spring and fall. So we're using that to store the water without any need to improve the strength of our building, because we're already designed for that. But in the winter time, we just have 2 drains. One has a donut that overflows the water down the drain at this end, and that forces the water to the other end, which you'll see in a minute. So we just remove that donut in the winter time, and we open the valve and just let it go for the winter time, so that the roof would behave like a normal roof. We will still get the snow melt. Interestingly, even for the last 5 years, the snow melt alone has been enough to keep our living wall. And then Tim had mentioned kind of a natural infrastructure. In our case, rather than putting our green on the roof, we put it in our office. So you can't actually safely get on our roof anyway to enjoy the greenery. So it's in our front office, which we'll show you in a minute. And we take that water, we put it in that wall, then we put the wall to work by taking the carbon dioxide out of our office. And it's removing 97% of the CO2 from our office, which reduces our air intake. So, and it's also greenery you can see. It's right in our lobby. And so integrate the natural features so that they can, again, be beneficial.
Thank you. I'll take one final online question from Leah again. I'm not sure if Bruce or Randy can answer. How long did the installation take, and were there any differences to a conventional roof upgrade? So how long did the installation take, and were there any differences to a conventional roof upgrade?
No, the thickness is 2 inches on it, and the length of time that'll last is what you're asking?
Yeah, were there any differences to conventional roof upgrade? Going with a blue roof versus a conventional roof, were there a lot of differences?
Yeah, well, no, just with the thickness of the insulation and the membrane on top.
It was the same time as the rest of the roof? Like, amount of time to replace it?
No, the same time.
Yeah.
Same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent, thanks. And then any last questions from anybody in the live audience who'd like to ask while you have the chance? Yes, we have a question over here. Yeah, please, if you don't mind. We'll record your voice. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Usually I have a stool, so that's okay. So we've heard both from the feds and the province from your about incentives. The biggest thing is at the municipal level, like, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, is the township of Wellesley has just received some provincial money for a new facility. How do we get municipalities to say yes? Because they're always under the pressure of keeping their lowest bid when they're looking at projects like this. How do we incent it even at the municipal level to say, hey, you guys really need to look at these blue roof ideas?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one of the things we have to start looking at, and this isn't just government, this is our entire society, is full life cycle costs. So sometimes the upfront cost might be slightly higher, but the full life cycle costs of implementing an innovative technology like blue roofs will actually be less money. And so looking at that full life cycle cost, and I think maybe upper levels of government as we fund projects is to say, you know what, we want to make sure we fund a life cycle cost approach that's going to be lower cost, even if the upfront initial construction cost might be slightly higher.
Nobody wants to go second between myself and MPB Schreiner. I would like to say what he said. That's exactly it. The municipalities are under that stress of the upfront costs. So at the upper level, anytime we can help invest and let them know that they'll get that return, then they're happy to take on the operating costs in many cases. But it's a win-win for everybody. So I 100% agree.
Yes, please. Come on up.
I'll be quick. So this question here is more for Bruce and Randy. You did talk about in the presentation that, you know, we could look at other parts of the roof of this building. Would that be a big change, or would you have to increase like another cistern, or what would be the process of adding on another few thousand?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's very interesting because the expensive part is actually just replacing the roof itself, right? Which we're doing anyway. So Randy's already been chipping away at the roof, and it's got, I don't know, like 10% of it left to replace, something like that probably. Yeah. And so that's the expensive part, but that's being done anyway, no matter what. Our bits are the internal bits, which you'll see at the ribbon cutting. It's not that expensive, and it's just a logistical thing. So we're doing some for London Environmental Network, where we're doing a 100-year-old building there, and in their case, we need 2 different cisterns because it makes sense to harvest the water from for the top 2 floors in one end of the building and the bottom floors at the other end. So it's more of a logistic thing of that particular facility, but you'll see once we get here that it's not that difficult inside because the storage is on the roof. So the indoor storage is very small and inexpensive because you're just letting down water from the roof when you need it. So therefore it's smaller, you can fit it in a closet or somewhere like that. And what we do is we just have a simple treatment system in case there's bird poo or something like that. We're not making drinking water, we're making toilet water. So we don't need to spend a very expensive system to make drinking water, which you could do, but why make drinking water if you're just going to flush a toilet with it anyway, right? So we match the level of quality to what we're going to use the water for, and it's very reproducible. We could do very easily. What you want to do is you want to find where can we put the water. So good homes for this water, in Guelph for washing the buses with the rainwater from the roof, which is actually better than the Guelph water for washing buses because it's soft water, it's distilled, right? Versus the hard water we get from the ground. And you need less spot remover, less soap, less water. And so you want to find good places to put this water that match the quality. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thanks everybody for your questions online and for the in-person audience, and thank you very much to our guests for those eloquent answers. To put you on the spot like that and answer so eloquently, it's a real skill. Congratulations. So we're going to move into the final portion of our event, which is doing our ribbon cutting of the Blue Roof to officially inaugurate it. So I'm going to invite the live audience to make their way to it. And the live stream audience, you're going to come with me with the camera, and we're going to walk behind them, and we're going to watch the ribbon cutting. So let's go. So this is somebody in Enviro Steward's office. You get through, or as we're waiting for the live group to get set up over there. There's some offices on the left here. And on the right, we have some standing desks for people to work when they're tired of sitting. Lots of bright windows here. A beautiful view of Elmira. This go and see the group here, then I'll put the camera down and it'll be a lot steadier for your viewing pleasure. Alright, and gentlemen, I'm just gonna zoom out to get you all. Alright, perfect. So the mic is live, so feel free to go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to my team, to Lloyd and Max and Aurora and everybody who put this together. It's wonderful. Really appreciate it. And this is our first event since COVID, really, I think. And so it's nice to actually have more than one or two people in the office, which is wonderful. And so we're going to cut the ribbon here. You'll see this is our living wall. It's been running for the last 5 years. And interestingly, the vendor actually comes by because they're surprised how well the plants are doing. They're doing really well, I think, because they're only getting rainwater, right? But they're also, we leave the light on here all day long, so they're taking carbon dioxide out all day long from our office. This is our rainwater harvesting tank. It just gets the rainwater from the roof when we need it, lets it down, a cartridge filter, ultraviolet light, and then it goes to our living wall. We've got a little pump here to put it to our high efficiency toilets. And so, maybe, Tim, I don't know, do you have any thoughts before we...
I just want to say congratulations to Bruce and everyone in Enviro Stewards for walking the walk every day, and anything that you do, what you're doing for our community, here in Woolwich, for Muskoka, the region, for all of Canada. We need people like you, and we need these solutions like this, and I'm proud of everything you're doing. So congratulations.
Thank you, Tim. Mike?
Yeah, so I just want to congratulate Bruce and the whole team at Enviro Stewards. I continually impressed at all the innovative ways in which you come up with ways to protect our environment and save people money and benefit our economy at the same time. And I think it's these kinds of innovative solutions that are going to be vital to addressing the climate crisis and the ecological crisis that we're facing. And so thank you for all your, I would say, low cost, yet incredibly high impactful solutions.
Thank you. Randy, you want to do the honors for us? Okay, ready?
Okay, so you probably saw me peeking in there before, but I'd just like to thank the Livestream for joining us today. We'll put this on YouTube, and we'll send the link out if you missed some of it, or share it with your colleagues. But thanks so much for joining us. Stay safe and have a wonderful summer. Bye-bye.